All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the City of Findlay City Planning Commission on July 11th. I am Rob Martin, Service Safety Director for the City of Findlay. I am filling in for the chair, Mayor Mern. She is out of town, so welcome, everyone, and roll call whenever you're ready, Jacob.
Okay. Mr. Martin?
Here?
Mr. Trombley?
Here.
Ms. Schroeder?
Here.
And Mr. Klinger?
Here.
All right. Anyone in the audience that plans to speak for or against any item, would you please stand and be sworn in?
Whoop.
Okay.
Okay. Do you affirm that all the testimony and evidence you're about to give in a case before this commission this day will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and will conform to the facts of the case and the rules of this commission? This you affirm under the pains and penalties of perjury. Please say I do.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Next on the agenda, we have the approval of the June 13th Planning Commission minutes.
And I had one small edit on the motion for the Seifert Farms. I removed the word conditionally approved, so it just reads approved.
Okay.
Because it said conditionally approved, but then had no conditions afterwards. So
Got it.
just to be clear.
So with that, thank you for that clarification. With that, any discussion, edits, corrections noted? If not, may I have a motion to approve?
So move. I'll second.
All right, thank you. All in favor of that, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, thank you. Moving forward. Item number one, we have no old business, so new items. Item number one, application for site plan review, SP 11 2024, filed by Sheets to construct a new gas station at the northwest intersection of Tiffin Avenue and Croy Drive. CPC staff comments.
This request is located in the Findlay Village Mall subdivision on Tiffin Avenue, next to the intersection with Croy Drive. It is zoned C2 General Commercial. It is in an area that is C2 General Commercial. It's not located within a 100-year floodplain, and the City of Findlay Land Use Plan designates the area as regional commercial. Parcel history, so the site is currently parking for the R&P Home and Harvest of Findlay. Get-Go had a similar gas station and convenience store site plan that went through CPC last year in May of 2023. Staff analysis, Sheets is proposing a 6,132 square foot convenience store and gas station on this site. This would include 38 parking spaces for the convenience store, which meets our standards. On the south side of the site is a 12 pump gas station. On the west side of the site, there's a dumpster enclosure, and this enclosure would use vinyl and brick, which would match the elevations of the building. The site has two proposed new curb cuts. One is a full entrance onto Croy Drive, while the other is a right in, right out onto Tiffin. Staff would like to see the right in, right out kind of extended into a more dedicated dive-in lane to discourage people from being able to turn left onto the site. In terms of landscaping, staff discussed with the applicant that the foundation plantings were not necessarily required along the building, but could be clustered along the perimeter. They've included this landscaping along the east, north, and west sides of this lot. Staff was appreciative of the applicant's willingness to meet the required number of plantings on site. They submitted to the BZA for two variances. One was a reduction on the front yard setback to be 7 feet from the property line. This is in keeping with the setback for Raising Cane's site to the west. So staff was supportive of that request. The second was a reduction on the rear yard setback to 10 feet, and we were supportive of that request as well. They actually, 2 weeks ago, went to BZA and were approved for both those variances. So I'm going to revise my recommendation slightly. So TPC staff recommends approval of the application for site plan review SP-11-2024 filed by Sheets to construct a new gas station at the northwest intersection of Tiffin and Tiffin Avenue and Croy Drive with no condition.
thank you. Engineering?
So on the access with that, we utilized the traffic impact study that was performed from get-go, since this is the same function and stuff. They're acting the same way, so we were able to utilize that to make sure no other improvements were needed. I agree with Jacob. That would be nice to see that a little bit more directional, I guess, if you want to say it, so that way no one can make left turns in or out of that. But they did with this site compared to the get-go one. The last time we had that guy wire that was in the turn lane, they actually widened out that, I call it a pork chop. I don't know what the official word is, but they widened that out a little bit to get the pole and the guy wire all within that. So that shouldn't be a concern with that. But like I said, I would like to see that a little bit more. Like Jacob said, that would be nice for that. The only other thing that I seen, which it will be finalized out in the field, but there was a couple spots where the sidewalk, the curb ramp, the grading plan, we were over the 2%, but we'll make sure out in the field that that is ADA accessible all the way through. Water service and sanitary service, no problems with those or concerns. Water service, if they are going to be doing irrigation, that's a separate tap that we need to do on that main line. The sanitary, the grease interceptor will be inspected by the health department, but we will be inspecting the main line tap for that. But otherwise, no concerns with it. Just make sure we have all the permits before construction.
All right, thank you. Fire prevention?
We just want to make sure they get all the permits and call for inspections when they get going.
Okay, thank you. Anyone here to represent? Please come up and introduce yourself, sir.
Hello, good morning. My name is Kareem Amer. I'm with Skilkin Gold Development. It's 4270 Morse Road, Columbus, Ohio 43230. With me today, I have Nick Favre from Manick and Smith, our engineering partners. We're here today to propose another sheets. With the distribution center and the other site that we presented for, we're here to continue to invest in the city and be stakeholders in the area, and we're very much excited to do so. We continue to look for intuitive sites, sites that make sense for us to be there. As was mentioned, this was previously approved for a get-go site, and we're really maintaining all of those same key site components. Besides from that, in terms of the right in, right out, we're open to putting some restrictions such as no left turn sign, flexible bollards, things of that nature. We want to be good neighbors and, contribute to the safety there. So other than that, we don't have anything really else to say. Here to answer any questions.
Yeah, so on the right in, right out, what you guys are proposing, Jeremy and Jacobs, you want to see it just angled more to avoid any left-hand turnout. You're not proposing moving it to a dedicated turn lane in with just a right in or anything like that.
Right. It would just be changing those angles a little bit, so that way, when you're in your car,
Right.
you're already pointing that direction. The one that we had the problem with is like in the Gabe's area where it's so wide.
Yep.
You can make that left-hand turn.
I'm guilty of doing that. So.
Maybe the right word is more intentional.
Yeah, more intentional.
It
I mean,
is-
it doesn't. Yeah, we don't have to do the full dive-in lanes or
Okay.
it just
Yep.
angle it, and maybe with bollards and stuff like
The flexible bollards,
The flexible
yes.
bollards.
I like that.
This is one example in town.
Yep, that's the Walgreens.
That's what you call a dive-in?
Yeah, and Speedway also has one
On Trenton.
on Trenton.
But you should. I mean, you can, without doing that, you can set those angles up with, bollards. How you do that pork chop, where it would be difficult they'd have to make a pretty good swing
Right.
to get out of there.
Yep.
Is there enough room there without moving the entrance to the east that they can change that angle adequate enough to do that?
I think if we keep the exit where it's at, and then if we had to move the entrance over to the east a little bit, I mean, I'd be fine with that, because you're getting closer to the intersection, but you're actually getting off the roadway. So I wouldn't want to move the exit any closer to the intersection. But really, I don't think you would have to move the drive itself. It'd be more just your concrete at the bottom where the curb is, just kind of widen that out a little bit at the bottom. Yeah, perfect.
And are you more concerned about the people making a left in or left out?
I would say kind of both.
Both.
You know, the left in. There we go. The
There we
left
go.
in isn't too bad. I mean, that's kind of like the Kroger situation where you have a turn lane there, so they could make it. But the left out, I mean, you're crossing 3-4 lanes
yeah.
of traffic. So
Yeah.
I would say that would be my biggest concern if I had to pick one. Would be
Okay.
the out. But if you just widen that out just a little bit, I mean, a couple feet will be just enough where it'd be difficult for a car to make that. You're still going to have people do it, but if we can cut down on majority of them, you know, your bigger vehicles
Yep.
wouldn't be able to make that. I think that'd be beneficial.
And no concern from you guys for doing that, even with potentially flexible bollards too?
I guess what specifically we're fine with the, again, flexible bollards and the you know, no left turnout signs, things of that nature. But you know, if we're looking at potentially widening that whole right in, right out, there's potential implications to utilities and things of that nature. So I guess what exactly are you guys looking to see?
I would say.
I was gonna say I'm fine with working with them on that because I kind of have an idea. So,
Okay.
Your ideas, are they going to impact utilities? I understand the
and that's
question.
what, you know, without knowing exactly 100% what is out there.
The cost associated with moving things could be significant.
Right.
So I understand the gentleman's question, but we're, the city of Findlay, and we're very good at working with these organizations to make it work for both of us. I just want to make sure he understands that we're not trying to associate a large cost with the change of utilities.
Yeah, so
Right.
I guess that's what I was meaning. Keep it flexible and let's look at a couple options with them and just work. You know, if we can get it with concrete, great. If we can't, what's the next option for them? You know, I agree. I don't want to be moving poles and catch
Right.
basins and
Nope.
manholes just for that if we can achieve it somewhere else. So I can work with them on that, you know, if you guys want me to do that.
Yeah, that would be great with us. We're
I
happy
think
to work with them. Yeah.
I mean, that's our typical practice,
Right.
right? We move forward, and there's decisions that have to be made in the field, and we work with the
Yeah.
people that have to make those happen. One question for clarity, and I know we're using a traffic study that was already analyzed and so forth. Can you just point a reference, the full entrance and exit on Croy, does that line up with anything on the east side of Croy, or no? Is it its own independent on the east side of Croy? Does that make sense? Because I know if you move north, there's a cross.
I believe it lines up pretty well with that, with the key. I don't know if they
Oh, okay.
clarify, but I know the last time the other one was pretty well lined up in that area.
Okay, so we're not going to have a
Staggered.
big stagger.
Right, no, it's not a big stagger, but what they're doing, sorry, I didn't have my mic on. That's kind of how their truck route's coming in too for deliveries of fuel and stuff. So that's why it's a little bit wider. Because I was looking at that too, is why is it so wide? But they had a truck diagram of how that went through there. But I'm pretty sure it lines up pretty well across from the bank there.
I did have a question too on your truck turns. So you're driving them in and have them come around the store and then around the front of the dispensers to where the tanks are. It looks like you're running over parking spots in the area behind it to get that truck route to work. That would obviously be a concern if they need to.
Do we have that in the staff packet, or do you?
It did. It was the last page of
Yeah.
the packet.
And keep in mind that truck route is very precise. I mean, you've got to be right on spot in order to work your way through there, too.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you have the truck routing with you by chance? Okay. So I guess, in which part are you seeing that go over parking spaces?
In the back of the property, so not on your property,
Okay,
but on
yes.
the neighbor's property. So my questions are twofold. One, do you have an easement of some sorts in place to route the truck there? And two, there obviously couldn't be parking spots in the way of where the truck's planning on going.
Correct. Yes.
One thing I will note.
Yeah.
The owner of the lot behind them also submitted a parking restriping plan
Okay.
when Get Go and Raising Cane's was coming through, and they were
Gotcha.
trying to leave kind of a drive aisle there that removed some of the parking close to these two new lots.
Yeah, my only well, I don't want to speak for you.
No, that's exactly right. We've contemplated this with the property owner.
Okay.
They do have, and we ought to impose it on here, but they are restriping that, so there shouldn't
Gotcha.
be any conflicts there. And again, we can work with staff to make sure that that's enforced. So
Yep.
we'll
Yeah,
update that.
that was my only concern, to make sure that that was being taken care of, and we can easily just put as a small condition that
Sure. It's a good observation.
plan. is
Do
put
we
in
have
place.
some sort of an easement or written agreement with the property owner for your access into their parking lot to get around your building?
I don't know off the top of my head. That's part of our real estate department's endeavors, but that's, again, if that's a condition that you guys foresee needing, we can work with that. But
Yeah, I think
we're
that
working-
would be, because if that ownership ever changes,
Sure.
Yep.
unless there's something in paper, why?
The new striping configuration would complement the ability to get in and out, but to your point, that could change.
That could
It's
change.
only
Mhm.
paint,
Yeah.
right? So that's a good condition.
And that retail store there behind it has agreed to move their outside storage then?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna make sure I get that right.
What's that?
The mayor usually writes this stuff down.
Matt, you said that, or
Conditions
Jacob,
to have
that the
minimum for
zoning
Easement.
review has agreed to the 7 foot, which matches then the Cane's Chicken restaurant. That must be from about the front side of the sidewalk, so the sidewalk is actually on the property of the mall?
No, so currently, the sidewalk is right on the property line. The sidewalk butts up to the parking lot so it will be like Cane's now, where their parking lot will end, there will be grass, and then there will be sidewalk.
Okay, but it's not 7 feet. They've only got a 3.5 foot planting area in front. And so if you include the sidewalk, that seems to make about the 7 foot. That's what I didn't know. So the sidewalk would be on not the right of way, like we normally would see it.
Say that again.
Well,
No, I see what you're saying.
That-
I believe what Cane's did was 7 feet back.
would they? No, I've stopped and measured it this morning. Their planting area is 3.5 feet wide. It's got a curb planting area and then sidewalk. So it's not 7 feet, and that's what I was wanting to clarify.
Oh, Cane's?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it really 7 feet from the street side of the sidewalk to the back?
7 feet from the right of way is
So
is
that
the
what I'm
setback.
saying then is the right of way must be the front side of the sidewalk versus the rear that we normally see in residential and all.
It could be, or maybe Cane's didn't construct things correctly.
Yeah, that's what I wondered.
It's probably one of those two.
What are you envisioning though? A 7 foot planting area?
So the setback is normally 10 feet. We agreed with Cane's for it to be 7 feet. And then I guess I'm curious if that's not reflected. The main purpose was to have, as it sits today, it's pretty goofy. The parking lot curb is then the sidewalk.
Uh-huh.
It's parking lot, curb, sidewalk. You know, the bumper goes over, they're
They're in the
into the
sidewalk.
sidewalk.
Right.
Yeah.
So the goal is to have the parking lot, some green space, so a buffer, and then the sidewalk. I think it functions better and it looks aesthetically more pleasing.
And that's what's reflected there, a 4 foot sidewalk, 3 feet of planting to get you to 7 feet. Yeah.
But I think this should be actually 7 feet. correct?
You want it to align with sheets. You want a consistent.
No, I want it to be consistent,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
so
Which
it needs to reflect Kane's.
Which would be about 3 feet on the back side of the sidewalk.
Okay, so
When you refer to the backside, I just want to understand, is that backside towards the road or backside towards the parking lot?
Back side towards the parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
it would be unusual for the sidewalk not to be in the right of way, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only way, I mean, I've seen the sidewalk where it's not in the right of way, but then we have a sidewalk easement down through there where we still have jurisdiction over it. I would have to look up the plat on that to see actually where that sidewalk is.
Okay. Okay. I like the 7-foot planning area better than the 3-foot, but
But
we're at this point, we're
at
probably
this-
getting the 3-foot.
at this point, I think we should match.
Yes. Okay.
You've piqued my curiosity. I'm gonna drive out to Kane's,
Yeah.
to look at the distance that they have.
Yeah.
But you measured it about 3.5 feet?
Yeah. Just a little under 3.5 feet to the curb. Yeah.
Okay.
Are all the utilities going out to, I mean, water and I didn't look at it very closely, water and sewer going out to Quarry Drive, or are they coming off Tiffin?
Water's coming off Tiffin, and water's coming off Tiffin, storm's coming off Tiffin, and the sanitary is coming off Croy.
Okay. In the previous proposal, we had a small detention area. Was that originally part of the Canes site, or was that part of the
That was
convenience store?
part of Get-Go's, but it's not required
Yeah.
because they're reducing the impervious area. So that was a decision that Get-Go made, but it wasn't required.
Okay. And there is no drive-through window on this. The application indicated that there was a drive-through there on the
Not on this site. there is.
outdoor seating and drive-through. So I wanted to make sure that there wasn't one there.
There's
There will-
outdoor seating.
Yes, there
Said no
is outdoor
drive-through,
seating.
There will not be a drive-through at this location.
I think it was
So-
gonna go.
Okay. I was struggling with that wide entrance in and out on Corey Avenue, on Corey Street, thinking that maybe they could find a route through the site for the truck delivery. But as I looked at it on site, that it becomes, I think, extremely more difficult. The problem I have is that obviously that gets backed up and congested very quickly in that area. So I guess everybody's just going to have to wait for the truck to get in, I guess.
Anything else, Dan?
I would just probably put on the approval of the application a couple conditions. One is that they adjust the right in, right out on Tiffin Avenue, or is that you're just going to handle that internally?
We would just put it at,
Yeah.
I would
As a
recommend
condition.
just putting it to the satisfaction of staff.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was gonna say you could put that in, just satisfaction of us.
Okay, so I would make a motion to approve with that.
Hang on.
I'm
Sorry.
I'm-
I wanted you to go through your
I'm-
punch list. Absolutely.
I'm a little early, aren't I?
No, I wanted to make sure you got your punch list accomplished, but I also want to, is anyone here
Yeah.
that wants to speak for or against this other than the representatives of Sheets? Okay. Now.
All right.
And if I may, real quick,
Yes.
in regards to the truck turning, if in your condition, either we get an agreement from that property owner or we're able to show truck turning within our site satisfactory, would that be okay as part of that
Yeah.
condition?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, great.
So I'd make a motion to approve with the conditions that the right in, right out meets the approval of the city, and that if they use the parking lot adjacent to the north for truck traffic, that you have a written easement on that.
Access easement, yeah.
Yeah, I'd second that.
Yeah.
Any other further discussion? Jacob, whenever you're ready.
All right, Mr. Martin,
Aye.
Mr. Trombley,
Aye.
Ms. Schroeder,
Aye.
and Mr.
Aye.
Klinger.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Yep.
All right, application, and number 2, application for conditional use CU 10, 2024, filed by HHNV LLC for a multi-use convenience store apartment located at 1101 Summit Street. CPC staff comment.
Just going into this one, I will note that the applicant is not present. I've tried to contact them multiple times and have not heard back. So just want to mention that before I start. So CPC staff, this request is located on the south side of Lima Avenue at the corner of Summit Street. This parcel is zoned C1 local commercial. To the south, the neighborhood is zoned R1 large lot residential. To the north, it's zoned R3 small lot residential. This location is not located within a 100-year floodplain, and the City of Findlay land use plan designates the area as a single family small lot. Parcel history: this site was previously a dog grooming business. The applicant has indicated that they would like to operate a convenience store and have a residential unit available for an employee. The footprint of the building would not change, but they would just reestablish the residential unit on the second floor. Staff has concerns about the intensity of the use. Going from a dog grooming business that only has a customer or two at a time to a convenience store which can have multiple visitors at a time can lead to disruption of the neighborhood. Hours of operation would increase also and lead to more intense use. There's a lack of screening on the site for the structure with the neighbors. Staff would note that 2 of the existing parking spaces would also need to be used for the residential component, which would also lead to further congestion on site. So staff recommendation, CPC staff recommends denial of the application for conditional use CU-10-2024 filed by HHNV LLC for a multi-use convenience store / apartment located at 1101 Summit Street.
Engineering,
No comment.
fire prevention.
If the project moves forward, they're going to need permits and inspections.
Okay. Anyone here? I obviously heard Jacob say for it, but anyone that is here to speak against it?
And I will note I've gotten at least three or four emails from the neighbors just highlighting kind of those same points where their concern is congestion, traffic, and impact on their neighborhood from the intensity of the use. They were fine with the residential component, but the convenience store aspect could lead to a lot of traffic on that corner. It's tight with the parking lot there, and just general concerns about the noise and its impact. So just wanted to add that as well.
Thank you. Sir, if you'd come up and introduce yourself, and the mic is yours.
I'm Dennis Brooker, and I live at 928 Summit Street. I can actually see this building from my front porch. And when it was a dog grooming business, it was fine. It's perfectly suited for something small like that. Nobody in the neighborhood has ever said, we wish we had a convenience store closer. And we're all investing money and time in our homes, trying to improve the neighborhoods. And it's kind of disappointing that they want to do something like this. I just don't think we need it. Any place I want to go, there's plenty of places I can go for something real quick within just a few minutes of my house. Don't need anything else, you know? So I'm not for this at all, and most of my neighbors aren't either that I've spoken to. Unfortunately, they have to work. So.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Booker.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Grant Russell, 1200 South Main Street, also Findlay City Council at large. I appreciated the comments from Hancock Regional Planning Commission. They kind of echoed my initial concerns when I saw about this. Kind of thought about where do we have convenience stores without gas service in town. I came up with 6 just off the top of my head, and none of them are in a place this tightly surrounded by residential. And I think that's kind of a real a determining difference between otherwise successful convenience stores and this one. Now, in a kind of a Mayberry RFD, if you had a convenience store serving, good fresh food and with limited hours and mom and pop kettle living above it, and the neighborhood kids walk to it, and it is predominantly a walkable business, one could think that that would be beneficial, but the reality of how a convenience store makes money is volume, and that speaks to what Jacob said about the intensity. And the intensity that this presents in a neighborhood is a negative. And it's, we protect our neighborhoods through our zoning and our zoning decisions. And while this operator might agree to limited hours and being the best operator ever, it's never this guy, it's always the next one who makes it worse. And so a decision to switch this to do the conditional use for a convenience store here, I think has a dramatic long-term negative effect on this neighborhood. And I think it's incumbent on City Planning Commission to continue to protect the neighborhood. Lastly, I see this very similar to the McDonald's decision on 6th Street. Once again, a high intensity usage in a predominantly neighborhood environment, a little less neighborhood than this, and where that was opposed, and I led the opposition to that. It's similar, and I've heard the concerns from some of the neighbors in the area, which is what brought me out here. So I concur with regional planning's recommendations and would encourage you to deny the conditional use. Thank you.
Thanks.
I guess I'll start.
Is there anyone else?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you. Good
I
point.
got you.
My name is David Wingate. I live at 605 Lima Avenue, less than 200 feet from that business right there, okay? I'm going to ask any of you right here, do any of you live in this neighborhood around here at all?
Close by.
None of you?
I do. I'm close by.
I'm sorry?
I'm relatively close by.
Okay. Would you want to live next to that when it turns into a convenience store? Honestly.
I think that's what we're here to discuss.
Yes or no?
Yeah.
A simple yes or no. Would you or not?
We'll get into that
Okay.
when we're discussing.
My next problem is, look how small that parking lot is.
Uh-huh.
Okay? The only entrance, excuse me if I step up here.
Yeah.
The only entrance that you have into this business is A, here, and B, there.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay? So let's rule this out because that's going to be the 2-person parking for up there, right? The residential apartment up here.
Mm-hmm.
So the only entrance is going to be right here. Okay, ever since they put the roundabouts at the end of my road by the highway, my traffic has picked up double. Okay? So how many accidents do you think are going to happen there when all this transpires? That's my first thing. The second thing is the zoning, for one. And then my next one was the school. Donnell School is what? Less than 500 feet, 700 feet from there? Right? Give or take? Okay. There's a speedway station. You follow Summit, go all the way to the end, snakes around. 2 minutes from that is a speedway. Our Kroger Street's right beside it. Our Kroger store is right across the street from there. My last thing I want to say is I don't think all the property owners in that area are really going to want the congestion, and I'm going to be nice here, the less desirable traffic that's going to be around there. I nicely going to refer to it as riffraff. Other people might describe them as deplorables. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Oh, one more thing. When this comes about and it happens, what do you think that's going to do with my property value? Think it's going to go up? I've been fighting with Cooper Tire to keep my property value for 25 years. When I initially bought my property, I was hoping they were going to come and destroy my house and buy my property and make it a parking lot. Hasn't happened. Wishful thinking.
Thank you, sir. Well, I guess I'll start. First and foremost, appreciate everyone's comments. I think we're big advocates for small business in this community, and we want successful businesses that help us thrive, and I'm all about neighborhood access to things. However, the previous business, it sounds like it made sense. That was before my time. It's been there in existence, but it made sense because it had structured time. It had calculated in and out of business. It was not disruptive to the neighborhood and after hours, et cetera. So it made sense at the time. This convenience store, in my opinion, will do exactly what everyone has said. It will create disruption. The footprint doesn't make sense for the amount of volume. You can't control the hours of operation, et cetera. And to Councilman Russell's point, it's not necessarily about this perfect tenant. It's the next one that we have to be conscious of. So I don't live in this neighborhood. However, I do take into account how this would impact my neighborhood where I live. So I would not be in favor of this going in here. So.
Yeah, I'd echo a lot of those concerns. I mean, this is zoned C1, so there are a lot of uses that could come in here, but combining the commercial convenience store with the residential on top in this neighborhood, I don't think makes any sense at all. I think you're going to have a lot of the problems that were spoke about here. So I agree. I'm not in favor of the request.
Yeah, I agree. I'm also concerned about the amount of parking on site
Oh,
that
yeah.
might be available. It doesn't seem like it'd be very convenient to get in and out of. And also with potential blockage due to residential parking of the one driveway, that leaves only the one access, and being able to maneuver on the site with parking is going to be very difficult. So possibly something with a less intense use might be acceptable, but convenience store sounds too intense here.
One of my questions was what kind of a convenience store. I would certainly not want to see a cannabis or something like that go in there. Also, as a convenience store, it would be a public space, and you would have to have ADA accessibility. That's going to even eat up more of the site than what we have now. So, and parking is just next to impossible to have traffic flow through there. So.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to deny the conditional use request.
I'll second.
Jacob?
Mr. Trombley,
Aye.
Ms. Schroeder,
Aye.
Mr. Klinger,
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye. All right, with no other business on the agenda, meeting's adjourned. Thank you for coming.
Thanks. Thank you.
Hey, I got a simple question for anybody here. Who do I find out who my ward rep is for my area? Or council member?
That guy who's talking. Oh, he's at large.
Can anybody tell me? Okay. Who, Jim Niemeyer? Who?
It's Greeno.
Who is it?
Randy Greeno. Yeah, his info's the next to last one.
And he lives on Lime Avenue?
Closer to downtown. He just, yeah.
Is he down by the tattoo shop?
No, he's by St. Mark's, like kind of close to the church.
Oh, clear on the corner by Little Caesars.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Yeah, Corey and Lima.
Okay,
He's somewhere in that area.
It's
okay. All right,
it's a big blue house. That he lives
okay. All right. I appreciate it. Thank you.